Hey tubes and grooves, and welcome to this edition. Take the fear out of the gear with me, Jason Bangers.
And me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
What's happening today, Si?
I think we're doing a bit of a repair video again.
Oh, what is it?
It's a Yamaha P3500 power amp. It's a classic, I think from the late 80s. And it's completely blown up.
See, I know nothing, so I guess we're going to hand over to Alan the Great and see if he can fix this damn thing.
Yeah, it'll be a miracle, do you reckon he can?
I don't know, over to you, Alan the Great.
Right, well, we've got a Yamaha P3500 power amplifier which has had a major blow up. I've already made a start on it. Virtually all the output transistors are blown, every one of them. The emitter resistors and also the base resistors have also blown on it. This is one channel, this is the left channel. As you can see, I've already taken all the transistors off the heatsink. The beauty of this thing is that it's easy to work on. You only have to take 4 screws out of the side. You can lift the whole amp out with the heatsink and you can work with it on the bench. We've got some new transistors to go in a packet here. We've got some 2SA 1962s, which are the PMPs, and 2SC 5200 rated at 250 volts and about 15 amps. So they're a bit uprated from the original ones. So hopefully when they go in, it'll be okay. They're quite big, as you can see. They're quite monster transistors, but they fit in there quite nicely. And then you've just got a strip of metal that goes over the top and holds all the transistors in, so you don't have to worry about heatsink compound or anything like that. It all goes in there because we've got this special insulator which is doesn't need heatsink compound, so that's easy to work on. Just hopefully when we get it all back together again, it's gonna work, but obviously we'll run it up on a variac and make sure it's all okay before we do that, before we apply power to it. Now what we've got to do first, we're going to release these screws, and that's what actually holds the amp onto the heatsink. The transistors are clamped like that, with that clamp onto the heatsink, and then the legs go in there and actually bend round and go in the holes in there like that. So you actually bend them round. I won't do it, so I've got to set them up. I've got to set up the height of the transistors and everything, and then they're soldered to the board. But there's a lot of work to be done on this. All the emitter resistors were blown, which go in there, and they're upright ceramic high wattage ones. And there's some little base resistors that go in here, along in here, and they're little stand-up ones, and they were the flame-proof ones. And there's also another ceramic resistor that goes in there, which blew. So we've got quite a bit of work to do on this one. I haven't even looked at that one yet, but I know that one's blown as well, so probably it's exactly the same. But we've got parts for both sides, so you know we'll see what's what, and I'll repair this one first and get one side going, and then I'll start on the other one. Yeah, it looks a bit of a sorry sight because you've got this amplifier with all, and that's all really what's okay on it. All the rest of it is all completely blown. Both channels were blown. I've repaired this one, but if I'd have made a video of repairing both of them, it'd be too long-winded, so I've repaired this one. This one has got to be repaired. Taken all the old output transistors off, and what's happened is they've all short and they've blown the emitter resistors up as well. So all these are open circuit, so we've got to replace all those. I've got some new ones here, these new emitter resistors, brand new ones to go in, and obviously some new output transistors which I've already preformed to go into the board, because they actually go like that. and then you've got to pull them round and then solder them from the bottom, and then the heatsink goes in there. So that's what we've got to do. Let's get this resistor and put it in. Just a preference thing, I like to put all the resistors around the same way so I can read the values. So you don't have to keep turning your head upside to do it. I just keep them off the board very slightly because they're high power resistors. So you can see about 1/16 of an inch, something like that, on these ones that lay flat. I'll just bend them over. Do this joint. Like that. Like that. That's in. I'll just give it a quick wiggle just to make sure that it's all nice and in the dry joint there. They look okay. I'll just snip them off. There you go, and that resistor is now in. So I'm going to do the same with all these other ones, these upright. So I'll put one in just to show you, and then I'll do the rest of them. Right, I've put these ones in, but I'll show you guys how to put these ones in. So make sure the spacing's right, and then they just go in there like that. And what I do is I just do that, and I just to hold them in, I just bend them very slightly. Well, you can see what I've done that, and that holds it in, then it doesn't drop out. Put that one in. I've soldered all these resistors in, so the board is populated now apart from the transistors, so we're going to put the transistors in now. So these transistors are the PNP side, this is the PNP side, that's the NPN side. These are the PNP transistors, and they go that way around. Okay, solder those in, and they're soldered from the back obviously. Right, okay, so we'll solder those in now. As you can see, they just hook through, so I'll put a Right, I've put all these ones in. I'm just going to just tack these ones in, and I've just got to finish off soldering these, and then basically the amp, this side of the amp will be ready to go back on the heatsink. Right, so we've got the transistors all mounted, we've got all the components mounted, it's fully populated board. All we've got to do now is put it back on the heatsink. Basically it fits over like that. You've got some spacers here, which you've got one there, and one up there, and that's what we've got to put back. We've got to put those back first. Well, we've got to put these in as well. So there's two strips, which are insulating strips, which makes it quite easy actually, because it's one long piece, and they fit in there like that. And there's one the other side. Spacers on the top, that keeps the board off of the heatsink, and this goes over the top like that, hopefully not without moving the spacers. There's thermistors there, so one there and one there that's got to be screwed on. It can go back on there. I think we've basically got it. line up the thermistor. Little screw here goes directly into. There's no insulation behind that because it's isolated. It goes in there. Screw that one in. One of these thermistors is for the bias, and the other one, the other side, is for the fan. This one here. And as the heatsink warms up, this detects heat, the resistance lowers, and it makes the fan go faster, so that it cools it down. Don't have any. These are isolated. These drivers are isolated, so they're clamped direct to the these ingenious clamps. Here we're going to put these in. These big transistors here aren't. Actually, it's got to go behind that one. Right. Okay, so that's that in place. It's a special rubber, a special conductive rubber, well not conductive but heat conductive rubber. Doesn't need any heatsink compound on them. You've got these clamps that clamp the whole lot together, which is quite ingenious. So it goes down from there. Push those transistors down now onto the heatsink, and these little raised portions actually bear on the transistors and push the transistors down to the heatsink to tighten it up the clamp. So that will go in there. I'll put that in first. Okay, I've put the brackets in which hold the output transistors to the heatsink. What I'll do now, I've lined them all up, and now I can screw this back in again so it doesn't put any strain on the leads of the transistors. That's it, lovely. Now all I've got to do is, I'm just going to check, make sure there isn't any shorts from here to any of this on here. Nope, that's it, lovely. It's all nicely isolated. So it's ready to go back into the amplifier now. But before we do that, we've got to put a new fan in, because the fan was faulty, and it's probably one of the reasons why the original one went. Right, and the way I do this is I cut one lead long, I cut one lead a bit shorter. Obviously I've put the length of heat shrink over the wires beforehand. I'll twist them together, and so when they stretch out, you put one that way and then you put one that way. There's no danger of them shorting out, and that way you only need one piece of heat shrink to go over the top. So that will go on there like that, obviously after I've soldered it, and that will go like that, and it'll make a neat job of it. So I'll solder those up and we'll put the heat shrink on, and hopefully it's all going to work when it goes back in. And that's the connector connected to the new fan. So now we've got to put it in, and we've got these two brackets, and what they do is, I think they sort of more or less, not only do they fix the fan to the front I wonder what they're doing, direct some of the airflow through. Otherwise I can't see the point of them, either that or it just makes it easier to rather than sort of fiddle around with tiny nuts and stuff. So we'll put them in. So that goes in there. So undo these. I always put the bolts back in the fittings, because anyway you don't lose the bolts then. So I'm good at losing things, as Si will tell you. Now that should go like that on there. So when it goes in there, I've got that wrong. I think no, we got it around the wrong way. I think that goes. Now it should have a direction of flow, but rotation, direction of flow should be on that side. Okay, so they've got a direction of flow, they've got to blow that way. There's a little arrow on there, as you can see. I hope they don't, that one's not sucking, but anyway, I think it goes that way. So that goes on there, and that goes on there, that goes that way round. So actually that's on the opposite side, so that's right. So that's it. So that will go in there. It's got a bit of a fiddle. Try and get that through there. Yeah, that's the fan in. So now what we've got to do now is put our amp, newly repaired amp, back in the case. Right, so I put the amp back in the box. I've plugged all the various Molex connectors back in again. There's one for the speaker, which is there's one at the back here for the speaker, and then there's a power supply plus and minus 95 volts or whatever it is. There's this one here, the small one here, which is for the controller for the fan, and also there's the ones for the inputs from the preamp. There's another one here which monitors the heat sink, and that will switch the fan on and off. That's the fan driver. Right, okay, so I've got it on a variac. Plug it in and switch it on and see what happens. So I'll run the variac. See what happens. The fans are moving around. One is. The other one will probably go shortly. $210 volts. 26. That's full voltage. And it's working. The only thing we've got to do with this now is to set up the quiescent current on the 2 amps. There's two in here, there's two test points which you can put your meter across, and I checked that it is 15 millivolts across those 2 points, which will give you the correct quiescent current on the amps. So this is what we'll do. We'll set the meter up on there, put it to millivolts, and I'll check this one first across the 2 test points, which are just in here, they're quite accessible, and that one says 13.1, and this one 7.5, so that one's quite low. Right, okay. In here, tucked down in here, there is a little preset which you can adjust to adjust it. So see how that does. And we've got 17 millivolts on there, 15 millivolts on that one. I think we'll call it a day there because it's just so sensitive. You've only just got to move it an absolute fraction, and it'll shoot up to 70 or 80 millivolts. So I think we're going to have to leave it there. So it's all working.
So that's it then, Al, isn't it, really? So just
yeah, I think so. I don't think there's a lot more I can really do with it. It's
stick the lid on. I might have some more screws at home because I think it's got some screws missing. So
yeah, there's screws missing, but yeah, but it's all working because it was a major blow up before, and yeah, some of us have got working.
So there you go, another success from Al. So all we've got to do is say goodbye from Al.
Yeah, goodbye.
Alan the Great has done it again.
But this time it's an amp.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that. We've got to say it is an amplifier this time.
Bonus points for which film that came from.
This time it's an amp. Hang on. This time it's an amp. That's not the Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, is it?
No.
And back in the room. He's done a grand job, and so I mean, I've got to confess I haven't seen it, touched it, looked at it or anything, but you know, these things must be done. So is it sounding sweet now then?
I'm amazed. It sounded really quiet, and but the whole thing was blown up. Both the power stages, all the transistors were replaced, the resistors, and I can't even remember where the thing came from. It's been sitting around for, I don't know, 10 years or more. I think someone may have given it to me because it was blown up. I can't remember, but yeah. Alan the Great he's becoming a bit of an amp guru because there's more amps coming up in a worse state he might be able to fix.
And Johnny the Boy's done it again, only this time it's a scrubber. Well, everything's built these days pretty much active, so all the amps are all built inside everything if you're looking at speakers and stuff, so it's nice to get hold of an actual amp every now and then, you know.
This is a classic. I remember when I was at a university in London, they had a PA there and there was a whole rack full of these amps with the crossovers.
I bet it looked awesome.
Yeah,
the Tower of Power.
The Tower of Power, but man, you didn't want to lift it anywhere.
Oh no.
Like we did with our old amp
So it's
racks.
your monoblock?
Kind of, yeah. And it's just, people don't realise how lucky they are. You lift stuff up and it's nothing, but in the good old days, yep.
They were reliable as well until people spilled beer in them, which inevitably happened. But anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, from this episode of Take the Fear Out of the Gear, we do hope you've enjoyed that little repair video from Alan the Great. You may well have found some tips and hints out of that. And
I suppose, don't forget, Al has done some other repair videos for us.
Yeah, go back and have a little look.
Yeah, go and have a little look.
So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to do us a great favour if you can, hit subscribe.
Like and share the videos.
And ping that bell and then you'll get some what's the names telling us when we're making a video next, which is usually once a week. Little videos like these ones. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you again. You take care. See you on the next one. Ciao for now.